Time goes, that is for sure. And things change over time, do they not? Yes, they do. How about this? You would know this better than I would than I do. Yesterday, the Cougars got a commitment from this Brock Harris, who's a big-time basketball or football player, I should say, tight end at Pineview, which is down there in the St. George area. Now, he's the number one player in the state, right? He's been the number one player in the state for a good while, right?
Yes, yeah. He is the number one player in this 2026 cycle currently in the state of Utah.
So I put on Facebook, is the tide turning in recruiting? Because it seems to me, and I'm not the expert on high school recruiting, that the past decade or so, when BYU was running around as an independent and the Utes were in the much better situation of being in the Pac-12, that they seemed to get the best players in the state, top players. Is that true? It seems to me that they were better off with in-state recruiting, that if you were the top player, you were going. Is that accurate? Has BYU, though, been able to hold their own in terms of getting the top player, or maybe, say, look at top five, getting 3 or 4 of the top 5?
All right.
Or is this new? Is it changing?
So if you want to look at it, so I know DJ looks at these a lot. I subscribe to the 24/7 Sports, their rankings. They're the ones that I favor, PK. Now, you may want to do Rivals or ESPN or On3. But of the top 15 in the state of Utah in the 2026 cycle currently, there are no players committed to the University of Utah. There are 2 committed to BYU, obviously Brock Harris, as well as PJ Takitaki from Lehigh High School. Then you have the Pula twins from Timview who are committed to UCLA. Hila Kasuga from Corner Canyons, Texas A&M commit. He's been committed there for quite some time. And the only other commitment in the top 15 currently is Eason Tafa out of Corner Canyon, where he's committed to USC after originally committing to Washington.
So we got SC is still
they're still a force.
Doing their thing, coming in our state and taking our boys. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want them to stay local.
Now,
especially now going to SC, that doesn't
Yes.
do anything for me. They're not even in the conference anymore.
Yeah. So now I will add this, PK. I pay attention to the recruiting pretty closely. The Pula twins have been, to use a lack of a better term, shopping around, and there's a very strong possibility they will decommit from UCLA and could favor going to BYU. Now, those two, speaking of Jaron and Kennan, they are the 5th and 8th ranked players in the class. So that would, if they pick BYU, that would be 3 inside the top 10, 4 inside the top 15. Bot Mulatalo, who plays at Lone Peak, he was committed to Oregon at one point, has backed off of that. BYU's made some inroads there. Kawe Akana from Orem High School, BYU's made inroads on. So there is a chance that BYU could make a really strong push in-state this year and maybe turn that tide, as you say.
All right, how about looking back? Is it accurate to say that
No.
Utah
has
owned the state?
There's no doubt about that. You can go back over the past 10, 15 years, going back to when Utah entered the Pac-12, and I don't have a problem saying that Utah owned the state of Utah. You mentioned it, top-tier prospects. They wanted to play top-tier football. Well, there was really only one option in state, and that was to play for Utah in the Pac-12. Now that BYU is in the Power 4, that has changed the dynamic.
That's what it seems to me. Now, you can't blame the kids, no matter where they live, Utah County, wherever, wanting to play in the Pac-12, because that is a conference that obviously has been around here and we're all familiar with it. And Utah ought to have cleaned up, and I believe they did, and we saw it on the field. They were really, really good. But is the tide turning with this Brock Harris, big-time tight end, turning down a lot of big boys to stay a local in-state for BYU? Wow, what can they do? Can they keep this machine that they started last year rolling? It's going to be hard because I do believe Utah, that was a blip. I do not believe that is representative of where this program is headed. I believe that they will have a nice bounce-back year. To what extent remains to be seen, but I don't think we'll experience what we saw last year with the Utes. I think that when we get to November, they will be in the thick of things, and then we'll go from there. All right, it is Masters Week coming up, and we got Brian Taylor from down there in Augusta who will join us next. Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.